History. It's the most powerful tool ever constructed. One that has shown the world what atrocities humans can inflict upon each other, and one that has shown us that love and understanding can better our society. It's a tool that pesters us with reminders of our mistakes, and yet, like a proud mother, it celebrates all of our greatest achievements. History chronicles our story. It's not a bird or a plane, it's a book. And a book, unlike no other, can raise a story that cannot be burned or cannot be forgotten. It clings on with us, past, the present, and soon enough, the future. So, to begin with today, I would like to tell you a story. Some of you might be familiar with this story, but what's most significant about the story is that it is very relatable. It alludes to the many beauties and inconveniences that are similar to the ones that we experience in our lives. So one day, I came across this BBC News article, and it read, "A new film released in Germany highlights one of the greatest what-ifs of history." It's the story of Georg Elser, a 36-year-old carpenter from a small town in southern Germany. What this man did was extremely remarkable, and it easily could have been one of the most influential actions that would have saved millions of souls from demise. The day was November 8th, 1939. Hitler was making his annual speech at the Munich Beer Hall. And unsurprisingly, Hitler had no idea of the carefully muffled bomb put in under his podium. And this bomb had been placed by Elser himself after working on a plan that he decided to do for the entire year. So every year, this speech was given at the same time, the same place. But on this one such occasion, eager to return to Berlin and his military planners, the Führer left early. 13 minutes later, the bomb went off. It was catastrophic. It causing 8 deaths, massive damage. The ceiling, just where Hitler had been standing, collapsed. 13 minutes. It was those 13 minutes that led to the new film about Elser by Oliver Hirschbiegel. And it was also those 13 minutes that allowed this ruthless totalitarian dictator to lead Germany into 5 more years of war and genocide against Europe's Jews. What's so interesting about this is that historians have constantly postulated what would have occurred if Hitler had in fact died on this day. If he was just not in a rush to leave, or if Elser had just primed the bomb to go off a bit earlier, just 15 minutes. And imagine if Hitler had actually just stayed here as he had done so all the years prior. So when I first heard about this story, I was in shock. It was unbelievable. A moment that could have just made history gone with the wind. You know, there is a profound similarity between us, regular and normal people, and historians. We analyze the past. Regarding Elser, they strike questions such as, would there have been a World War II? Would the Holocaust have happened? Would 11 million people have died? Would horrible atrocities have been committed? And in our cases, this might be, what would have happened if, I had just studied a bit more for that math test? Or perhaps for you teenagers out there, what would have happened if I had deleted my internet history on time before my mom checked? On a more serious note, what would have happened if I just not said this to her, to him, to my parents, my loved ones? In essence, we're like many historians. Now, obviously, you don't get the opportunity to assassinate totalitarian leaders every day. But we constantly battle with the what-ifs, and that if I had only done this, then a better outcome would have happened. And then we dwell on that outcome, that better life, that alternate, instead of focusing on the now and changing that and making that better. You know, people constantly experience regrettable events, but what do we do about them when you could have just done a little bit more to achieve something great, something you've always wanted, when you could have just retracted back those words you told your parents? What do you do? Well, you see, what does set historians apart from us is that, unlike them, we do not let things go. If the Holocaust did not happen, okay, 6 to 11 million people wouldn't have died. If Julius Caesar was not assassinated, then perhaps Rome would have transitioned into the empire more smoothly, or maybe even remain as a republic. If the Axis powers had won the Second World War, well then, he would be speaking Japanese, she would be wearing a kimono, and I would be giving this speech in German. But you see, the past is the past. You can't change it. And out of everything historians know, they know this concept best. You know, I've always yearned for the ability to do it all over again, or wish everything was back the way it used to be, when it was better. I read an article on Huffington Post, and it was titled, 52 Things I Wish I Could Tell My Younger Self. And yeah, you know, the title is very clickbaity, but it led me to a point where I told myself, if I could just do it all over again, and I knew all of this, all the cheat codes, man, would I be so much happier right now? Would I be in such a better position? We almost use our history as an excuse for the present, whether it be the global present or our own personal present. If something is wrong, then it's never fully our fault, because as humans, we often seek for a scapegoat. We blame climate change on the generations before us and their surplus and industrialization. We blame our own personal problems on you being forced to move schools, on your parents having that one affair, on your friends backstabbing you. But the truth is, you can never be sure of how history would have unfolded if it were written differently. And similarly, you can never be sure of how different events in our lives would have unfolded as well. But moreover, what's the point? This longing, this yearning, this false hope is detrimental to how we approach opportunities that offer us amendment. Like the historian, we analyze the past, but let's do it in a correct manner. We should not just deem something good or bad. We should learn from them. It's one thing to cling on to a regrettable event, but it's completely different and beneficial to identify those inconveniences in our lives, and with that knowledge, approach decisions in the future in a more pragmatic manner. You know, British philosopher and writer of over 45 books, George Santayana, once said, "Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. So imagine, what if the world consisted of these historians? What if everyone decided to move forward, not with regret or negativity, but with purpose? Learn from our mistakes. So what if we can change or rewrite history? I would like to propose a different question. And not one of pertaining to what if we could change the past, but what if we can change the future? What if we took hold of the opportunities that we have now and were proactive? What if we didn't dwell on the mistakes of our past and consistently scoured for a scapegoat? What if we all worked together, putting aside our differences to work towards a common goal? What if we learned from our mistakes prior and worked out towards a better life, a better world? Now that would be a world that is beautiful, a world where people would abandon dogmatism, a world where listening and understanding would be the norm, a world where violence would be trivially solved by conscious decision. And ladies and gentlemen, until that time comes, remember that just as historians have dedicated their lives to filling up textbooks regarding the past, we must remain proactive just as they have, because day by day, if we indulge and retain all the good while relinquishing all the bad and the ugly, we will continuously make better decisions and ultimately evolve for the better of humanity, just as our heroic little Esther did. And I believe that is an idea worth spreading. Thank you.